Okay, good morning. At this time, Lisa Young will take roll call to see if a quorum is present.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Members of the committee, when I call your name, please respond. J.B. Shaw. Mike Denby. Simon Lara.
Present.
Thank you. Robert Vandenacker.
Present.
Thank you. Tracy Conway.
Present.
Thank you. Nick Russo.
Present.
Thank you. Tim Wainscott. Paul White. Michael Carr.
Present.
Thank you. Chris Agno.
Present.
Thank you. Peggy Chapman. Thank you. Robert Stratman.
Present.
Thank you. Aaron Stoller.
Present.
Thank you. Jack Callis. Ramona Simpson.
Present.
Thank you. Patrick James. Wendy Cross.
I'm here.
Thank you. George Alonso.
Present.
Thank you. Stephen Sandoval.
Present.
Thank you. David Tavares.
Present.
Thank you. Madam, did I miss anyone? Madam Vice Chair, we have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. A quorum is now present. Good morning, members of the MAG Solid Waste Advisory Committee. This meeting is now called to order. As a reminder, MAG policy indicates that either the committee member or a proxy may attend a meeting. Both cannot attend a meeting at the same time. Non-committee persons may view Solid Waste Advisory Committee meetings via a live video stream on MAG Solid Waste Advisory Committee video playlist on YouTube. For those around the table, please turn on your microphone when speaking. For those participating via Zoom, please state your name when making a comment or asking a question. The MAG public comment process allows members of the public to comment on items on today's agenda or on items that fall under MAG's jurisdiction. If you would like to comment at today's meeting, please complete the request to speak form located on the meeting room counter. MAG staff can assist with any questions you may have. If you parked in the garage, parking validators are available on the meeting room counter. If you purchased a transit ticket to come to the meeting, please see staff for a ticket. Hearing assisted devices are available from MAG staff. So the next item is item number 2, call to the audience. Our next item is to call to the audience. This is the opportunity for the public to comment on items that fall under MAG's jurisdiction that are not on the agenda. Informational items or items on the agenda for discussion and not for action. 15 minutes will be provided for the call to the audience unless the vice chair requests an exception to this limit. I have received no request to speak for the call to the audience. MAG also provides the opportunity for members of the public to submit written comments via the MAG website. Any comments received 2 hours prior to the meeting have been shared with the committee members in advance of the meeting for consideration and will be included in the formal meeting minutes. MAG staff, have we received any online written comments for the call to the audience?
Madam Vice Chair, no written comments have been received.
Okay, thank you. Item number 3. Our next item is the approval of the December 3rd, 2024 meeting minutes. Does any member of the committee have questions? Okay, hearing none, prior to approval of the meeting minutes, there is an opportunity for members of the public to comment. I have received no request for this agenda item. MAG staff, have we received any online written comments for this item?
Madam Vice Chair, no written comments have been received.
Okay, thank you. Is there a motion to approve agenda item number 3?
City of Buckeye Public Works, motion to approve.
City of El Mirage, second.
Okay, we have a motion first to approve from Goodyear, and then I didn't hear the second one.
That was
From
Buckeye.
Buckeye.
Second was from El Mirage.
And the second was from El Mirage. Okay, thank you. A roll call vote will be taken at this time by Lisa Young.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Members of the committee, when I called your name, please state your vote. J.B. Shaw. Mike Denby. Simon Lara.
Aye.
Thank you. Robert Von den Akker,
Aye.
Tracy Conway.
Aye.
Thank you. Russo,
Aye.
Mike Carr.
Aye.
Thank you. Chris Año.
Aye.
Thank you. Taylor Shadron. Thank you. Robert Stratman.
Aye.
Thank you. Madam. Thank you. Lori Zelda Stoller.
Aye.
Thank you. Jackman Callis. Ramona Simpson.
Aye.
Thank you. Wendy Kreitz.
Aye.
Thank you. George Alonso. Stephen Sandoval.
Aye.
Thank you. David Tavares.
Aye.
Thank you. Did I miss anyone? Madam Chair, the motion passes with a unanimous vote.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to item number 4, electric solid waste collection trucks. This item is on the agenda for information and discussion. We'll have 2 presentations. First, Lori Zelda Stoller, City of Phoenix, and then George Alonso from City of Scottsdale.
All right, thank you, Sherry. Good morning, everybody. I'm Lori Zelda Stoller, Assistant Public Works Director with the City of Phoenix, and here to provide you an update on our electric truck that we recently deployed and activated into our fleet. Just want to give you a little bit of background of the City of Phoenix and our fleet in general. So currently we have 201 ASLs or automated side loaders that predominantly do the bulk of the work. We have 46 rear loaders and tractors in the fleet, and that's for our bulk trash collection operation. And out of those vehicles, currently 70% of those vehicles are CNG, and the other 30% are diesel, with one new addition of the electric vehicle into our fleet. All right, solid waste electric. I'm going to provide just an update on this specific truck. So it is a Battle Motors truck. We purchased this truck in June 2022 for a price tag of $691,000, which is significantly more than a CNG or a diesel truck that we typically purchase. It was delivered to us a little over 2 years later. Took a while to get to receive it, and then it was put into service in December 2024. Our electric vehicle is currently routed for our residential refuse and recycling. It's preferred currently on our refuse routes. It's from what the operators say, it packs better and has a better payload. It charges on 100 kilowatts, and that takes about 4 hours to charge the vehicle with a max speed of 70 miles an hour. And our payload, like I said, is 8 tons. Some feedback that we've been receiving so far on this particular truck is just the need to return back to the yard to charge. So our driver will leave the yard at about 98% after he unplugs. He'll get about 4.5 hours of drive time on that vehicle, and he'll have to return back to the yard. So typically it's around his lunch hour, and he'll charge for another 30 minutes just while he can eat, and then that will allow him to finish out the day, and we can get about 3 loads on that truck for the day. It was a little bit of a rough start for us with the vehicle because we didn't really have the infrastructure to charge the vehicle correctly. We had a lot smaller charge, so it was taking 26 hours to charge the vehicle. So we weren't really using it because it was taking too long to charge. So we upgraded to that 100 kilowatt, and that's been a significant improvement for us. And now it's a 4-hour max charge. So lesson learned on that. We are tracking the maintenance costs of this vehicle. So to date of 6 months worth of tracking, the maintenance cost on this unit has been about $6,300 in 6 months for a cost per mile of 21 cents a mile. And the range is 100 miles, but we have seen a change in that. It really depends on the day and what they're packing, what commodity you recycle versus garbage, how hot it is, how we're running the AC. So that really is not a very consistent range every day. But if it's perfect in the perfect conditions, it would be 100 miles a day. Some lessons learned just to share with everyone. Obviously, the distance that I just shared, 100 miles, is a optimal distance that we would like to get out of it, but we're not seeing that. The max distance we have seen is 90 miles with everything working as with the AC and everything running. So it's really good. We actually have, in Phoenix, we have 4 yards that service all 517 square miles of Phoenix, which is really large. So we've put it at our south region because our south region is very close to our transfer station, very close to predominantly the residential areas down there. So that's where we want to keep it. We couldn't do this up at Union Hills. It's just too much drive time up there. It wouldn't serve us well up there. So definitely a lesson learned is it needs to be close to home to charge. Like I said, the charging was a lesson learned. So definitely need to have the right infrastructure to support a unit of this caliber. So we initially had a 15 kilowatt charger, and that's why I said it took 26 hours. Then we upgraded it to that 100 kilowatt, and that's now at the 4-hour range, which is more optimal. The 12-volt battery, that starts the vehicle. It's fully charged. It needs to be disconnected from the HV charger. If the truck operates every day on this 12-volt battery, it does drain the battery life. So lessons learned, if the truck is left idle for more than 2 days, we'd have to turn that off. Just a lesson learned, just sharing what operators are telling me here. Fuel consumption, obviously it's no fuel. So that's an improvement. The maintenance shop is liking this because there's fewer moving parts compared to a diesel or CNG truck. And obviously it helps reduce that pollution, greenhouse gas emission that we're all looking to reduce across our region and our cities. Sustainability is really the reduction of the gas emissions. There's no harmful smoke. And they make a lot less noise in our residential communities and our neighborhoods. And then health and safety, one thing that we have noticed for the health and safety of just even our operators. So one thing that we're constantly looking at on our operators is their hearing. And because they're in such a busy, high decibel level trucks, this has been significantly reduced. So hearing conservation is something that we're seeing an improvement on. And that's the overall driver's mental well-being because they're in a lot quieter atmosphere. So we have heard some positives on that. And then in the neighborhood, some cons about that though is it's almost too quiet and the residents don't know we're there. So just as a safety piece, it is nice that they know that they're there, that we're there to be safe. There's kids with their bikes walking down the street in a school zone, whatnot. And now going to the electric, you can't even tell that we're there. And so that's something that they're watching. We just need to be we should always be alert, but this is something that we've noticed. So that's kind of the update that we have so far with 6 months of having this unit in our fleet.
Okay, thank you, Lori Zelda. Do any members have questions or comments?
Yeah, it's Mike Carr, City Glendale. Lori Zelda, what are the maintenance costs that you guys have seen that are equal to the 6,000 a year or 6 months?
Yeah, I know you're going to ask that. I don't have that right now, Mike, compared to diesel and CNG. So that's definitely something I can provide as an update because I have that question too, just to get the latest updated numbers.
Yeah, thank you. I was just curious if it was more chassis related or body related.
Yeah, good question. I'll get that.
Thank you.
Taylor Shadron with Local First Arizona. My question is kind of along the same lines, but do you have the number for how much fuel you spend on the other trucks and what you're saving with this electric and fuel costs?
The fuel cost?
Yeah.
So compared to like a CNG or a diesel?
Correct.
Yeah, I can get that for you too.
Thank you.
Sorry, I don't have
No
that
worries.
right now. But yeah, we can compare fuel consumption, just the average
Mhm.
compared to CNG versus diesel, and get that comparison.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Are there any more questions for Lori Zelda? Okay, thank you. We will now go to George Alonso, City of Scottsdale, for the next presentation.
Good morning, everyone. Just wait and see whenever this pops in. All right. Good morning, everyone. George Alonso with the City of Scottsdale. I'm the brush and bulk supervisor. We purchased a 16-yard rear loader that we use for our hand collection. This is our beautiful 16-yard rear loader that we purchased. If you can move to the next slide, please. We purchased this truck for $491,000. It is a battle motor electric chassis with a New Way body on it. It's a 16-yard body that's on it, so it is smaller than our typical rear loaders that we have. We have 14 rear loaders, and they range anywhere from between 20 yards and 28 yards. We purchased this for multiple reasons, but the main one is we did want to see the long-term viability with it in our fleet. Also, we couldn't pass up on the deal. They did give us a 1-year money-back guarantee for this truck. So if we did not like this truck or had any issues with it, we could return it with full purchase cost back. We would not have to give them a reason as to why, but obviously we would, just for good business. Next slide, please.
Alonso, excuse me, it's a little bit hard to hear you. It seems like you're going in and out a little bit.
Oh, sorry about that. Can you hear a little bit better if I move my mic?
Okay, let's try it now.
A little bit better?
Yes, thank you.
All right. So we purchased this truck and it arrived in March, early March. So we don't have too much data on it. We just started collecting as much data as we could. And one of the main things is, again, this is on our hand collection route. So we pick up in the historic part of Scottsdale, downtown Scottsdale, as well as some 55 plus communities in the trailer parks in South Scottsdale. So when we first got it and placed it in our operation, we already had some of the snowbirds leaving, so the weights were kind of heavy. We do typically in the summertime pull 8.5 tons worth of trash on these routes on Monday and Tuesday, and then the recycling obviously is a little bit lower, around 4 tons. But these are just the averages for those days. On Monday and Tuesday we run trash routes, and on Thursday and Friday we run recycling routes. So that's why you can see the drop in the number of what we've been collecting on for those days. You can go to the next slide, please. This, I wanted to show a graph of the battery life that we've been seeing. We do a pre-flight battery life when it's fully charged, and then by the end, we compare it with the miles that we've driven and where the battery ended up. Some of the low charges that you see on March 28th and April 23rd, those were mainly due to having issues of the truck charging overnight. So when we arrived in the morning, we noticed that it wasn't completely charged. It charged a little bit overnight, but it might have had some issue as far as the internal issue with the software where it stopped charging. And based off of our battle contact, he recommended we just take it out. They wanted us to go all the way down to the very lowest percentage that we can go before we had it towed. And that's exactly what we did, and we felt he feels that it's essential to do that to build the battery, to help with the battery life. Next slide, please. So some of the strengths that we do see since we've had this truck, when it is fully charged, we are able to complete the routes on every single one of those days. We do utilize it if we have a ticket, say a resident placed out a brush and bulk pile that was a little bit too late, or we might have missed it and we're no longer in the area. We could still utilize this truck for that collection for brush and bulk as well. Also, kind of what Lori had mentioned, it's a positive and a negative, but it is very quiet. So the area that we take it to first thing in the morning, we've had residents, going for their morning walks, and we're really surprised on how quiet it was. And they actually enjoyed how quiet it was because they'd have to walk their dogs off or cover their ears compared to our rear loader, our diesel or CNG rear loaders. So next slide, please. Some of the challenges that we're facing currently to this date is the downtime that we're having a lot of downtime because of the system updates. And also we were having trouble, again, like Lori, where we had the smaller charging system. You have three systems. You have a stage 1, a stage 2, and a stage 3. Stage 3 being the best charging system. Well, when we first placed the charging system out in our yard, it was a stage 2. So that typically took 10 to 12 hours to charge. So we upgraded to a stage 3, which takes 6 to 8 hours to charge. But the thing with the charging system is if you charge it, it's similar to a CNG line. You plug it in and you can walk away and it's going to fill it up for you. I'm not sure if anybody else in any other cities with CNG have dealt with this, where the CNG lines went down overnight. So the drivers come in and they're like, hey, it didn't fill it up. That's exactly what we're dealing with this charging system. We could plug it in, it'll charge it for maybe an hour or two, and then some internal issue might come up where it stops charging it. So when we come in the morning, it's not completely charged. Also, our fleet department, they don't have the proper certifications or the training to work on these trucks. So if it's something minor, we had one of the keypads replaced. They're able to do that, or if they need to check something underneath the dash, they're able to do that. But as far as working on the actual chassis or any type of the high voltage batteries, they do not do any of the maintenance or repairs. We usually contact Battle and they'll come out and take a look at it. Next slide, please. So overall, with this truck, it's still very early in our stage of collecting data, and we're wanting to compare it obviously to the CNG and diesel just to see how it performs out there in the field. We do not want to put it with a brush and bulk collection right now. We kind of want to start off with the smaller low-hanging fruit with our hand collection. And just try to see what benefits we find from it as far as environmental benefits or any long-term costs that it'll help us with. Next slide. And just want to say thank you guys for your time. Again, George with the brush and bulk collection with the city of Scottsdale. If anyone has any questions, just let me know.
Hey,
Thank
it's
you.
Robert Vandernacker. Sorry.
That's okay. Thank you, George. Do any of the members have questions or comments?
Robert Vandernacker, City of Buckeye. George, so any idea on average miles per day that you're getting out of this?
Yes, so the hand collection route is typically 50 miles one day on Tuesday. So if you guys, it's similar to ASL. Mondays and Thursdays are the same route. Tuesday and Friday is the same route. Mondays is it's a bigger route. We have they're more condominiums where they're long-term residents. They don't really leave throughout the summer months. Tuesdays and Fridays are a little bit with the trailer park, so we have a lot of people that do leave. They typically get 50 miles on Monday, anywhere between 50 and 55 miles on Monday, and about 40 to 48 miles on Tuesday.
And that's all right. So, and that leaves you with almost no charge left, or is that what your vehicle is able to?
It'll bring the charge down, depending again on how there's days that will come in and it's only charged to about 70%. And we typically get about 50, I would say about half the charge out of it. So about 50% of that charge will go down.
All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, are there any more questions? Okay, thank you. This is an opportunity now for other committee members to discuss their efforts with the integration of electric trucks in their solid waste fleets. Would anyone like to speak about that? Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to item number 5, California's Plastic Pollution Prevention and Packaging Producer Responsibility Act. This item is on the agenda for information and discussion. Taylor Shadron, Local First Arizona, will provide an overview.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Taylor Shadron. I'm with Local First Arizona on the Keep Arizona Beautiful program. And so today I just kind of wanted to pick your brains and just get everybody thinking, kind of open our eyes to how do we turn waste into opportunity beyond what we're already doing. Next slide, please. For those of you unfamiliar, California has a law. It's State Bill 54, Chapter 75, Statutes of 2022. It's a really small section, but basically all that you need to know is that all of the single-use plastic producers in the foodware service industry, by 2032, they have to reduce the production of plastic packaging by 25%. They need to create the systems to help ensure that 65% of the single-use plastics that they're still, or packaging of all materials that they're still producing, is ending up in a recycling facility at the end of life. And then if their products and packaging are being sold in the state of California, they are required to make sure that they are 100% recyclable and or compostable every material stream. And so the biggest thing about this is that it shifts that burden from the consumers onto the producers. Next slide, please. And so everybody likes to ask, why does it matter what California is doing, especially here in Arizona? And while it doesn't always necessarily matter, it does matter when it comes to regulation. So they're the largest U.S. economy in our country. So what their economy does, many of our states' economies will follow, not immediately, but eventually. And then I also found out that they're the 4th largest economy in the world, with only 3 other countries topping their GDP production. And then similar to Arizona, they have a slightly larger rate for new business startups, especially in the manufacturing, tech, and agricultural sectors. And so again, when they pass regulation, a lot of these national companies are doing some type of business in California. So they have to meet those California measures. But if they're going to do it in California, they're going to optimize their entire supply chain and all of their operations across the country. And so that's why it's important to understand what happens in California will eventually trickle into the rest of our regulations. Next slide, please. And then so before we play the video, all of the large plastic bottlers, some of the most well-known ones, are a part of this initiative. And so we can go ahead and press play.
Today, at America's beverage companies,
our bottles might still look the same,
but they can be remade in a whole new way. Thanks to you, we're getting bottles back.
And we've developed a way to make new ones from 100% recycled plastic.
New bottles made using no new plastic. You'll be seeing more of these bottles in more places.
And when we get more of them back,
we can use less new plastic.
See how our bottles are made to be remade.
So that's their Every Bottle Back initiative that each of the companies have taken on somewhat in response to this. Obviously, a lot of these initiatives were kind of starting before the regulation came through, but now it's being sped up by that deadline of 2032. Next slide. And so what it means is just that this really can be an opportunity in all of these different markets with glass, metal, plastic, and paper. Again, it's specifically for the single-use foodware service industry that these materials are turned into. Next slide. But what we're already seeing, and we have been seeing since this regulation came through, is that investments are being made in communities across the country. One example is Keep America Beautiful. They got $150,000 from Coca-Cola around Earth Day. They opened that up into a bunch of different $5,000 grants for small communities to go out and do mostly litter pickups to kind of clean up what's already out there as they're putting funding into creating these circular systems. Next slide.
Packaging is the first and the last thing that our consumers touch when they buy a beverage from Keurig Dr. Pepper. Making our packaging environmentally friendly and socially responsible is becoming critical for a consumer's purchasing decision.
Currently, we expect the recycling system to be ran by tax dollars. Recycling doesn't go to the top of all local government priorities. So it's really critical for companies like Keurig Dr. Pepper to work with the recycling industry.
I look at recycling as a really complex challenge. So it's systems-based. You've got 400 plus recycling facilities in the US, 9,000 different recycling programs. We're trying to deal with each of those to allow our materials to be accepted in those programs and ultimately to be recovered back into products or recycled content that we would use again in our packaging.
The grants from the Polypropylene Coalition focus on technology in recycling facilities mainly to be able to sort from other materials and to get a good, clean material prepared for end markets.
This optical sorter was a partnership that rather than someone physically looking at the container and trying to decipher, the equipment's able to recognize what specific kind of plastic it is. For example, this Snapple bottle here, we're going to drink it at home. It's going to end up at our facility here. It's going to go through our optical sorter. From there, it's going to get sorted out, baled, shredded up, and back to the manufacturer where it can be reused.
We're seeing greater and greater success because more and more consumers want to be able to recycle those materials. The recyclers want to be able to support those communities, and ultimately brands like ours and others want to be able to use that recycled content back in our packaging again.
I do believe a circular economy is possible. I think we have to bring all the stakeholders together and continue to work hard at it. We have a long way to go, but we have a lot of smart people working on it through the public sector and the private sector, and that collaboration is critical to trying to get to that circular economy we're all looking for.
So this video kind of highlights some of these options right here. So earlier we saw Keurig Dr. Pepper. In the video, there was the CEO of the Recycling Partnership. So these are just some of like the funding opportunities that are out there to support communities that might not even have any type of recycling infrastructure. Maybe they don't have curbside programs, anything like that. So the closed loop funding, that's for like a community who would be going after a MRF. They can get 500,000 up to 5 million, I believe. It's traditional lending, but it's again supported by all of these bottlers trying to help people get closer to that circular system. And then the Recycling Partnership, those are grants up to $50,000. There's currently 5 grants to be awarded. It is a first come, first serve grant. So this one's not as much funding to get an actual MRF facility. However, it is something that could implement like a curbside recycling pickup program. And then also, I know people have been kind of steering clear of federal funding, but we have heard word that the Solid Waste Infrastructure for Recycling Grant Program is still active. The website still has the 2023 information on it, but the contact, that's who you would reach out if you're interested in pursuing that opportunity. Next slide. And then some examples that I know about going on in Arizona, hopefully inspire you guys. Next slide. So City of Phoenix, they were ahead of the curve back in 2019 with the North Gateway Transfer Station. They were able to update their sorting lines for all of the plastics. This project did use $3 million in closed loop funding, as well as $1 million from the City of Peoria, and then $500,000 from the City of Phoenix. Next. Then the 27th Avenue Transfer Station in MRF, that was a $40 million investment from the City of Phoenix, also upgrading all of the lines to sort all recyclables at a better rate. And then the cool thing is on the map, that white box with the red border on the kind of bottom right corner, that's the actual transfer station. Everything else that's colored to the left is a space called their Resource Innovation Campus. And they're looking to attract businesses and startups that can plop down right next to the transfer station and hopefully be taking materials right out of the MRF, right out of the transfer station to put it back into that circular system. So this is a really exciting project with the city of Phoenix. And then next slide, please. And then our beloved circular plastics microfactory that we have that was in partnership with City of Phoenix, ASU, Goodwill of Arizona, and Hustle Phoenix. This takes the unrecyclable plastics and puts it through the entire processing from shredding to pelletizing to injection and molding and turns it into a usable product at the end of the line, like the skateboard you can see in the bottom right picture. Next slide, please. And then a little example from Northern Arizona. This is one of the few family-owned subsidiaries of Pepsi, Knackered Pepsi. They have made it available on their website that all of the materials that they are recycling out of their facility, they show where they're sending it to, how much, what type, broken into the individual waste streams. So it's a really fun interactive dashboard that I highly recommend everybody pokes around on and just kind of take a look at like what we can do to be showing the public how we're recycling and where it's going and just having that level of transparency. Next slide, please. And then our Republic Services, Blue Polymers, and City of Buckeye partnership.
At the Republic Services Polymer Center, we are innovating like no other company in our industry. This facility is the first of its kind in North America and is transforming plastic circularity. From curbside collection to production of sustainable plastics and back again, we are doing it all. The Polymer Center processes pre-sorted plastics from our recycling facilities. As demand for recycled plastics continues to grow, our Polymer Center will help our customers reach their sustainability goals. To meet this demand, we are producing two types of recovered plastics, PET and olefins. PET is converted into flakes, ready to be remanufactured into new beverage bottles. Olefins are sorted by color and type. These color-sorted plastics will then go to a Blue Polymers facility. Blue Polymers was developed as a joint venture to further process olefins from Republic's Polymer Centers. There, HDPE and polypropylene will be compounded, blended, and pelletized, creating drop-in solutions for packaging manufacturers, enabling plastics to move from the curb to store shelves in as little as 120 days. Our Polymer Center and Blue Polymers network is enabling true bottle-to-bottle circularity. Each Polymer Center will be paired with a Blue Polymers facility for nationwide coverage to serve our customers, helping to create a more sustainable world now and for future generations.
And then just getting away from the plastics a little bit, another case study, a little more localized to here specifically. So basically, Sonoran Glass School, they had a lot of glass waste from when they were producing like glass artworks, the broken pieces, like jagged edges that they were putting in the landfill. They didn't really have a good way to dispose of it. And then they ended up partnering with Bottle Rocket, who makes concrete products, but they need something in the space to kind of that is jagged, that can hold it together. It creates more durability for the concrete. And so it was just this natural partnership that came about where 100 pounds weekly from Sonoran Glass School is now going to Bottle Rocket to help them be able to produce more. And so it's really just looking at one business's waste could be a value add for another business. So just keeping those ideas in mind. They might be smaller scale, but they're still going to be things that help us get towards that circular economy. And the next slide, please. And then I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with Refresh Glass, but this is their process in 60 seconds. And so really all of this is just to come to say, what are the opportunities that are currently available to your community, whether you guys have started taking advantage of them or not. So maybe there's something going on that I didn't mention in these slides. I would love to hear about it. I want to make sure that I know all of these different products as the state affiliate of Keep Arizona Beautiful, so that I can help these communities, especially in rural and tribal spaces, continue to take on these projects and just find as many available resources as possible. But also, maybe you're in that same boat. Maybe you haven't necessarily jumped on to any huge project, and maybe you want to look at that a little more deeply. Next slide, please. So just so you're aware, Local First Arizona does offer a Green Business Bootcamp. This is specifically designed to help municipalities, businesses, nonprofits, tribal entities develop sustainability planning specific to what your needs are. So it's online. It's virtually held from 4 to 5 for 7 Tuesdays in a row starting September 10th. And each week is a different topic. So we'll talk about water, energy, waste, transportation, local sourcing, culture, sustainability, pretty much anything under the sun. And as we're going through that, you're introduced to the industry professionals that we work with to help further refine the technical sides of those plans. And then at the end of the session, you give a project presentation explaining what your project is. And then from that point on, we're kind of like your back pocket sustainability team that helps you navigating the implementation of that project. Whether there's hurdles or successes that need to be celebrated along the way, we are here for you, and just really excited to offer some more resources and support to anyone who might need them. Last slide. And then if you do have something going on that I'm not aware of, please take down my email and send me just a short little message. We can set up a meeting to talk about it. Also, if you are interested in the Green Business Bootcamp, I'm definitely happy to meet before September if we want to kind of lay out the blueprints of some plans. So just any way I can be a resource to any of you, please stay in touch. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Taylor. Do any members have questions or comments?
City of Buckeye, Robert Vandenacker. Actually comment, the Republic Services Blue Polymer Plastics refinery there is actually located right next to another new industry, Rarig Pacific. They're a plastics manufacturer, and they're using about, I think, somewhere between 18 to 20% recycled material in their plastics manufacturing, which goes into material that they use in Amazon and a bunch of other places, including actually trash carts that they make for the city of Buckeye. So there's real circular economy right there. And Buckeye is becoming the center of plastics recycling.
That's so exciting. Thank you for letting me know.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay, we'll move on to item number 6, solid waste projects and programs in the MAG region update. This item is on the agenda for information and discussion and will be presented by Julie Hoffman from MAG.
Thank you very much, Madam Vice Chair, members of the committee. Just a quick update. At the September 10th, 2024 Solid Waste Advisory Committee meeting, we discussed the solid waste best practices in the MAG region report. The initial report was prepared in 2012 that identified solid waste best practices as provided by the MAG member agencies. We then did a follow-up report in 2017 to see if those best practices had been further implemented across the region. At that September committee meeting, there was interest in conducting a second update to that best practices report. And pleased to say that at the May 28th, 2025 MAG Regional Council meeting, the FY 2026-27 MAG Biennial Unified Planning Work Program and Budget was approved that included that project, that second update. So that project has been approved, scheduled to begin in FY 2027. So we'll make sure to keep the committee informed as we begin working on that second update next year. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments? Okay, thank you, Julie. We're going to move on to item number 7, request for future agenda items. This is an opportunity to provide the committee members to request topics or issues of interest they would like to have considered for discussion at future meetings. Are there any requests from the membership for an item on a future agenda? Okay, I'm not here.
Sorry.
Yep.
Robert Bodenactor again, City of Buckeye. Actually, we're having a challenge in our municipality with on-street parking, as I'm sure everybody might be. And we're looking just on how it's interfering with solid waste services. And if anyone has any success stories for how they've addressed people parking on the streets in their neighborhoods, and how they may have addressed it and had positive activities, we're interested to find out what everyone's doing.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other items that anyone would like to request for future agenda?
Yes, Chris Anniel from the City of Goodyear. I was asked to present if there's interest on the committee. We were approached by a business, National Card Services, that's looking to do a kind of a regional approach to card servicing for different municipalities. And they would be interested in doing a presentation at a future meeting. So if that's of interest, just get a hold of me. I'm happy to help set that up.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other requests for items for future agendas? Okay. The next item on the agenda is comments from the committee. So this is an opportunity to provide the committee members to present a brief summary of current events. Just as a reminder, the committee is not allowed to propose, discuss, deliberate, or take action at the meeting on any matter in this agenda item for the summary, unless the specific matter is properly noticed for legal action. So essentially, there's no discussion. We can just state updates. If the update needs to be tabled for a discussion later or offline, that is fine. But this is just an opportunity for comments from the committee. So are there anybody who would like to make a comment?
Taylor Shadron from Local First Arizona. As the state affiliate of Keep Arizona Beautiful, we do have to do 2 more cleanups before the end of the year. As of right now, we do not have any current partners lined up for those 2 cleanups. So if your city, as long as you're not City of Phoenix or City of Tempe or City of Scottsdale, because you have your city affiliates that you can work with, and if you need a connection, I can do that. But everyone outside of that, if you are having an issue with like litter in a specific area, and you'd be interested in partnering on a cleanup, probably in the fall after the heat passes, so we got some time, please just again reach out to me offline. My email is Taylor, Tailer at localfirstaz.com.
Thank you, Taylor. Do I have any more comments from the committee?
This is Robert Stratman from Maricopa County. I just wanted to, for my local peers on the committee, to let you all know that we're in the process of going through a regulatory change. And some of you may have already been part of the stakeholder meetings. We've had a few. We had one last week, which was the second stakeholder meeting. And it's related to a regulatory change that is cleaning up some Maricopa County language to align itself with a recent administrative rule change that ADEQ put in place, which has reestablished that a once weekly pickup is the minimum standard, where previously it was twice. And it required a variance from Maricopa County if any local jurisdiction was going to offer less than twice a pickup. And so we are still in the process, but we are really encouraging any local jurisdiction to review on our website the regulations change that we're proposing. And the next step for us on July 28th is to go to our Board of Health for their final recommendation. If they approve it, it'll move forward to the Board of Supervisors. I got a tentative schedule here. Let me pull it up real quick. If the Board of Health on July 28th does approve moving it forward, it will tentatively be scheduled to go to the Board of Supervisors for a public hearing in early September. What the Board of Health, that process, they really rely on comments from all of our stakeholders, both in for and against any of our regulatory recommended changes. And so we're really asking our stakeholders, those that are really impacted, to go to our regulatory website. And Lisa, I can share actually the slide deck we had at the stakeholder meeting last week, and it has the information on that. But if we could share it with the committee, again, the board members really look to the comments from our stakeholders to base their decision on. So we encourage all, whether it's for or against, to share the impact and your position on the regulatory change. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other comments from the committee?
Hi, this is Ramona, Town of Queen Creek. We have 3 initiatives and pilot programs that we've been working on this year. One is related to glass recycling, doing a separate container at our recycling drop-off facility. Another one is in our last electronics and hazardous drop-off, we were collecting batteries and partnering with Call to Recycle and Blue Whale. And Blue Whale is an organization that actually keeps the battery ash when it's turned to ash, and keeps it domestically and takes out the rare earth minerals, and we're not sending it overseas. So we're excited about those 2 programs. And in addition, we're starting with another vendor to put on all of our recycling trucks that collect in Queen Creek, a camera that uses AI to determine contamination in the carts. And we will use this information to outreach to our residents. Right now, we have that process occurring with our inspectors that are lifting lids, but you can only get in front of the carts so many times. So we can only do about 300 carts a day. And with this process, we'll get all, 30 to 50,000 carts, whatever set out. It's a little overwhelming. So we're going to see how that works, because that's a lot of information. And so we'll have to do some filtering and other things. But we will be presenting on all 3 of these initiatives at the SWANA Symposium in October 24th in Mesa. And so if you're interested in finding out where these initiatives are going, please go on to SWANA's website at azswana.com and find out more about what's coming up on those respects. So just giving a little teaser about what's coming up, we'll have a lot of interesting panels and other discussions from the region and the state at that October meeting.
Thank you, Ramona. Are there any other comments from the committee?
Robert Vandenacker, City of Buckeye again. It's been 5 or so months since our last meeting. So we have, over the last few months, reviewed and updated our rates and set our rates through 2030 for municipal solid waste. And we've switched to same-day service, trash and recycling collection, and we'll be moving to same scheduled bulk trash collection in September. So a lot of changes coming in Buckeye.
Thank you. Are there any other comments from the committee? Okay, great. Then we're going to go ahead and move on to the last item, which is adjournment. So the next meeting of the Solid Waste Advisory Committee will be on Tuesday, September 9th, 2025 at 10 a.m. Business is now concluded. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
This is Ramona. I'll motion to adjourn the meeting.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a second?
Robert Vandenacker, second.
Okay, thank you, Ramona. We have a first from Ramona Simpson and a second from Robert. Thank you. This meeting is now adjourned.